What people see is bear markets are scary. People's portfolio going into red, many panic and sell their stocks. But what many aren't seeing is this wonderful opportunity to buy your favorite stock at a bargain price. Plenty of big investors desperately wait for moments like this. They sit on cash almost throughout a year and then invest heavily during bear markets. Now, bear markets are brilliant for long term trades and investing. But what if you buy and then the market falls another 10%? So, how do you know you are buying at the right point? You might feel like, alright, third wave is settling and things are getting better. But then again, some terrible news pops and the market drops. Well, what can you do about it? The solution is strategically planning your buyings such that even if the market falls over 50%, this plan will help you with that. How this strategy works is first you will have to keep a separate fund. Let's call it the bear market fund. How I do it is I usually put aside a fixed amount that I invest every month into the stock market. And out of that fixed amount, I keep a tiny portion, just about 10% aside in a separate fund, the bear market fund. And every month that fund just keeps growing and growing until the bear market arrives. Now you shouldn't use this fund every time the market drops 2 or 3%. Use this fund only for when the market takes an actual fall. And how we can do that is by measuring how much percent did Nifty fall from its peak. And only once it has fallen over 10%, then only we will start to allocate a part of the fund in buying the dip. Like if we see here, the market has fallen 12%, which meets a criteria of fall over 10%. But once it has crossed the 10% mark, we don't immediately buy our favorite stocks. We wait for the market to recover. And the way to find that out is once it crosses above the 50 days moving average, which is a sign of recovery. So we can buy here the stocks that you want after it closes above the 50 days moving average. This is a wonderful way to buy the dip while still being safe. But this method has a downside. Let me show you an example. Here you wait for the market to drop 10%, which it clearly has dropped over 10%. Then you buy once it crosses the 50 days moving average. But here the problem is it slides back down. It gave a fake recovery and you have already used up your fund. Hence the solution is to divide your fund into 3 parts equally. So if your fund size is 1 lakh rupees, you will put 33,000 once it drops over 10%, and then if it falls another 10%, which means a total of 20%, then you will put in another 33,000. And if the market has fallen over 40% total, you will put in the final 33,000. So in this situation, you would invest 33,000 here once it falls over 10% and recovers. And again it falls over 10%, so another 33,000 here. So what this does is your average buying price would be around here, which is pretty good considering the immense gain that's coming after the downfall. Now let's take the situation of the COVID fall where there was a massive fall. As you can see, the market has fallen over 40%. And since we have divided the funds in proportions of 10%, 20% and 40%, since this has directly hit the 40% mark, we are going to put in all the funds once it recovers and crosses over the 50 days moving average. And the gains that came after is over 100%. So if you would have allocated a fund and invested after the COVID fall, you would have doubled your money in a year. Now the reason I've divided the funds in proportions of 10%, 20% and 40% is cause the 10% fall is quite common and happens almost once in every year. But the 20% fall happens once in 4 to 5 years. Whereas over 40% fall happens only once in 8 to 10 years on average. So, no matter what the fall is, with this strategy, you got your back covered. So, now you know when to buy. But the question now heads to which stocks to buy. In a bear market, you should only go for stocks that has a history of continuously doing well. And there are two ways to find that out. First is to simply look at a chart in the monthly time frame, and you should only go for stocks whose monthly time frame looks like this. An upward trend all the way from the beginning. It might have few ups and downs, but the overall direction should be an uptrend. This is what I call a first class stock. Now, another way to check if it's a good stock is by looking at the fundamentals. You can use whichever website you like. I prefer screener.in. I type the company's name and look at few basic things like are they making profits and have their profits been increasing every year. As you can see, the operating profits have a steady growth and the sales as well increases every year. Next, have a look at where they stand among their competitors. And as you can see, ITC is first among all its peers. So that's good. I won't be getting into much details as I've already made a separate video on how to select stocks. I'll link that in the description. If you want to learn simple yet easy strategies on how to take your trades, I have plenty of easy to understand videos that you can check out.